Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. It's been a couple days now, but my best friend and I were chewing the fat on Friday, as we are prone to do. And we stumbled across the problem of housing costs. Situation in a nutshell is a problem of basic economics. People want to be in the big cities because that's where the jobs are. And that causes the house of prices to go up, because if there's more demand than there is supply, it forces prices to go up. Because especially houses, they're more capitalist than most other systems. You negotiate, you agree on a price, but market pressures do greatly influence it. It's not like people who are importing stuff from overseas and slapping a label on it for double the price and charging that. Or like the guy who decided to raise the price of insulin by 100 times because he felt like it. No. Houses right now are undergoing a premium increase, and they have been doing it for at least a decade, if not more. So the problem is, we have a country that welcomes immigrants. Now, I have no problem with immigration, quite the opposite. I think if you're coming in with a good track record, with marketable skills, even without marketable skills, and you want to live here and make your life here, then by all means, we should be going ahead and making this happen as much as possible. Obviously, there's a limit to what we can absorb because there's only so many jobs and only so many good paying jobs. But that's the only limit we should be worried about. So, how do we sort the problem out where there's rising demands from both immigrants and non-immigrants? And immigrants, when they come, they've heard of like Toronto, New York, Montreal, Vancouver. They don't know about Saskatchewan unless they're like a geography major or, they're tourists. But they don't know these other places exist. Now, having lived in one of these smaller big cities, shall I call it, the job markets are brutal. Like, you have no idea. In the GTA, I can get a job within a month. No problems. And that's a job that I want to do in my field. I'm not including going out to McDonald's and flipping some burgers, which again, I got no issue with somebody willing to work those jobs. Now, while it's not true that anybody can get a job at any time, that mode of thinking is obsolete. The fact is, there's only so many job openings and there's competition. So you got to be thinking of like a retail manager, assistant, whatever you call, like the people that help on the floor. There's janitor jobs. Those jobs do exist, but you have to know where to look. Most people don't know where to look. They go to Indeed.ca and figure that's the job market. No, there's a hidden job market. But this isn't about that. I'm just saying we should welcome immigrants in, but same token, get our house in order. Because without our house being in order, those immigrants are going to stop. So let's focus back on housing. Like I said, not enough houses, too many people. Well, the easy solution to this, which has been implemented almost everywhere, is to build vertically. Build apartments, build condos, build stuff like that. And that's fantastic. Yes, it's a quick, easy, and dirty solution that makes things work. But you notice I said it was a dirty solution. Because when you build upwards, you create a bigger footprint for a building. It needs more resources. It needs more parking spots. It needs more street space for those cars to get in and out. There's a condo not far from here, and I don't blame the builders for what it is. I remember it being built, and In the 1980s, the area was not nearly as packed as it is right now. But they built 3 or 4 of these sky high, what is that? I'm going to guess 20, 25 stories. They built these 25-story units, with, again, looks about 5 to 10 apartments per level. That's a lot of people that you're putting into an area. Those people they're gonna need to go shopping. They're gonna need gas for their cars, or they're gonna need public transit in front of it. The reason I bring this up is because we have a pretty big shopping mall, and they're planning on redeveloping parts of it into condos. There's 2 problems with this. For about 4 months of the year, that shopping mall is filled to capacity. I could only go shopping there because I know a couple places where parking spots exist where people simply don't look. And the other problem, the much bigger problem, is all those extra cars in that area coming in, going out. It's already a madhouse twice a day for, I guess, people leaving their jobs, and simply because rush hour traffic is devastating in the GTA. When you build upwards, you make rush hour worse. They're putting up a 600 condo building right across from where my parents live. And it's 2-lane street. And when I say 2 lanes, I mean a right turn lane and a left turn lane on both sides. Yeah, let me put 600 people using that twice a day, and it's going to be a nightmare. The biggest problem with condos is condos are a source of relatively easy money for a developer. They come in, build, quote, luxury, end quote, condos. They sell the first people on the whole idea of the amenities. Then they take off and leave a condo board, condominium, HOA, whatever you want to call it, and they walk away laughing with their profit. These are not buildings suitable for first-time buyers, and that's what leaves people in some rather crummy apartments. Not talking just here, I'm talking everywhere. A lot of apartments are getting older, but they keep them going because, A, their investment is paid off. They don't need to pay their mortgage. The rent money is sheer profit. I don't have a problem with anybody making a profit, but since more and more people want to move in, and houses and condos are becoming harder and harder to get, you're basically forcing people into a rental situation. Again, rent isn't bad, but at the same token, it's not where most people want to be in their life, working their entire lives to hand over 3/4 or more of their paycheck to a landlord. Again, nothing against landlords. People got to make their money, but at the same token, the system is biased to slip you into basically eternal poverty. You can either work till you drop, or you can live on the pittance of if you get a pension where you are, or the little that the government provides you. I'm not insulting the government. It's just the way things are, unfortunately. So what we need to do is figure out how to expand. This is not easy. I'm being stereotypical here, but Australia, where they have a lot of desert, is a lot easier to push into and have extra houses than it is in Canada, where almost every one of our major cities has a major wildlife out of it. When I lived in Halifax, one of the things I loved most about Halifax was that I could walk out the door and in 10 minutes be in perfect, pristine nature. Well, I don't know about pristine, but it was relatively untouched. And in the GTA, you just can't do that. You can go to a park, but it's a carefully manicured and horticultured park. Building up is a solution. Building out is a solution. But I can build out all I like. I can build out all the way north to the Arctic Circle if I choose to. But then again, you're going to wind up at a point where you're putting houses where people don't want to be there. Back in the 80s and 90s, people in Toronto started moving to Barrie, Ontario, which about an hour and a half drive on a good day. It can be shorter if you speed. It can be a heck of a lot longer if something's wrong with the highway. But there was a demand for houses in Barrie back at that point. Unfortunately, they were in a building phase at the time. So you got some people sitting on houses with extreme equity in them, while other people are trying to buy those houses. And now that they're worth almost as much as Toronto houses, the people who were there are making a profit and then moving further north. There's also the problem of goods and services. Let's say you're new to the country and you decide that, you obviously need a job somewhere to start with, whether that's going back to education of some sort to be qualified for trailer mechanic or, registered nurse or whatever have you. So you have to figure out how to pay for that school. Well, the grants and stuff like that do tend to land on the bigger cities. And the universities and colleges are mostly located in the major cities. And the jobs that you get when you come out are mostly located in the major cities. So you're kind of stuck there. This is something we need to address. Because it's not the immigrants' problem that they're coming to where the jobs are. It's our problem. And as a helping hand, if we opened similar services, government services, let's talk about that. If you live in Washago or, I guess Sarnia would have them, but a place like that, you're kind of stuck because the closest government services would be about 45 minutes away on a good day. A lot of things you're able to do by mail now, but for the most part, you're stuck with whatever that local government office is. People don't want that. We're McDonald's people now, essentially. We want a hamburger. We don't want to go and sit down in Gordon Ramsay's restaurant. And even though it's a superior burger, no, we just want to go and get our Big Mac and fries and sit down and binge out on our carbs and fats. Immigrants think exactly the same way as us for the most part. That's where they want to be. So we need like a 50 to 100-year investment in making new developments viable. Before a developer is going to come in and build any piece of property, there's going to need to be sewers. It's going to need to be a water supply. It's going to need to be electricity of some sort, an internet link, so that way they can hook all the houses up to the internet. And until you do that, you can't build anything. Maybe you could do some sort of a P3 investment where it's public-private partnership, but I'm hesitant to invoke that given the way that they've messed up our hospitals. But that's the only way that people will know about living in a house in the future. I'm looking around and I can see where I am being bought out by a developer in the next 10 to 15 years and all these houses being knocked down and turned into condominiums. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me if somebody knocks at the door and offers me some money for this house. I probably wouldn't take it, but at the same token, other people will. And yeah, unfortunately, that's the wave of the future. Living in a little box somewhere in the sky. And yeah, that's unfortunately the likely future for a lot of immigrants, a lot of young adults who will never, ever know what it's like to have a backyard, except for their one rich friend who invites them over to play in their pool. And that's where we're going to wind up going unless we figure out how to productively and efficiently use the outside areas, the peripheral areas. Because right now, nobody wants to move to Orangeville because the houses are too expensive, and the hospital is a staging hospital where they get you in, they diagnose you, then kick you out to one of the other major hospitals that are all, again, a 45-minute to hour drive away. You're noticing a pattern here. So if you take your grandma or your father or whatever it might be, you know that they're going to get shipped off to Toronto somehow, and then you're just going to wind up driving that extra kilometers anyway. We are not set up for the demand that exists. The only way you can quash demand is by having supply. We need to increase the supply, and not by doing so vertically. So with that, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Silverlight Show. If you did, please like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to click the bell icon down below so that way you can be notified every time that we upload a new show. And we hope you have a great day.